Kadosh Boker Or. I wanted to share with you a beautiful Dvar Torah that I saw on this week's parasha. In the parasha it says, Vayadi Yisrael b'nei Yosef vayomen mi ele. Comes Israel, which is Yaakov Avinu, towards the end of his life. He's going to give his final blessings to everybody before he passes on. And all of a sudden he comes and he sees the children of Yosef. And he tells Yosef, mi ele, who are these? And all the Mefrashim, the Shonim, Acharonim, they also asking, what are you asking now? Miele. You know that you know them. We know that they learned Torah by you, right? Whether it's that Ephraim was learning with Yaakov Avinu. And now you're asking now, who are they? What's going on? What's he asking now? So they actually, and not only that, they said even more. The pasuk beforehand comes. This is Perek Memchet, pasuk Chet, chapter 48, pasuk 8. The beginning says, Vayari Yisrael b'nei Yosef. He sees them. And then he says, the next pasuk, b'nei Yisrael kovdu l'chorot. It's only the next pasuk that it says that his eyes became weakened, that he wasn't able to. So don't come and start telling me, no, he couldn't see them. So Midrash Tanchuma is the one that asks the question also. And the Midrash Tanchuma says, Vayari Yisrael b'nei Yosef v'yom miele. Amar Rabbi Yehuda bar Shalom. What? He didn't recognize them. He doesn't know who they are. Every day they're learning Torah with him. What's going on? And now he asks, who are they? After there were 17 years in Mitzrayim that he got, now he says, who are they? But rather he saw Yerovam ben Nevat and Achav ben Imri, that they come from Ephraim, that they're of the Avodah Zarah. So it took away the Ruach HaKodesh. So when Yosef saw that, immediately nishtateach bakarka and he asks, Ribona olamim, if they are fitting for bracha, al tachsideni hayom bevoshe panim. Don't leave me empty-handed. That's what Yaakov, Yosef Tzaddik went and he said, if my children are fitting for blessing, please. Immediately he went through Ruach HaKodesh into Yaakov and he gave them the bracha. And that's what's brought down in Rashi. Bikesh levaracham, they wanted to give him a bracha. That's what Yaakov wanted to give them a bracha, and the Shekhinah left him because of Yerovam and Achav and Yehud and his children that came from Menashe, right? But he said Miele, and then he went and he gave them a bracha. I apologize. So he says some people actually come and they explain, according to Pshuto Shel Mikra, that really be'emet kavdu anav ben zoken. What does that mean? This is Ibn Ezra and the Rashbam. The Ibn Ezra and Rashbam says he didn't recognize him. He became so old, he saw people, he didn't know who they were. So yes, who are they? And the Radak says that they were actually even far away, so for he couldn't even see. The Barbanel also says the same thing. Yaakov even saw these things, the people there. Didn't. So once, he comes and he says, Miele, who are these people? And that's it. However, though, the Malbim, he comes and he says the reason why is because they came in Malbushe Mitzrim. You have to remember Yosef was Karov Malchut, and also his children. They were ministers in Mitzrayim. And therefore, because of that, they had to wear other clothing. So Yaakov comes and he says, who are these people? So Yosef says, what? They're my children. They're Tzadikim, the Yirei Hashem. They have other clothing, the clothing of the Egyptians. That's only because Hashem Natan Elokim Hazeh. They were born here. And because of the Makom and the Matzav, right? Because of the situation in the place, they're my children. They're ministering angels. They're ministers. They have to do that. So what can I do? And this was actually the Bet Israel. He used to actually say, because Menashe and Ephraim, since they were children of the viceroy of the king, they were obligated to wear very high, like prince. They had to be like dressed always like a prince. So when they came in front of Yaakov Avinu, usually they always came in Malbushe Israel. Here, since they called them, your father's sick, they had to come running. Didn't have time to come and start changing their clothing. So Yaakov Avinu didn't recognize them. He says, who are these guys? Like, they look, just the clothing could come and they could actually change everything. And he says even more. The Bet Israel comes and he says, Ki Yaakov amar li Yosef, harebal ideni sayom begini yotcha mesalsel b'sarecha, ilekach al tanig et barecha b'derech zo. He comes and he says, why did you come to a test? Why did you come to an isayon? You came to a test from Hashem because you were playing with your hair. So therefore, the wife of Potiphar also started playing around, fooling around with you. It says, don't put your children into such a situation. But rather, that they should actually be dressed like us, because dressing like us, like the Jews, is a shmirah, is a protection against the nisyonot of Mitzrayim, tumat haaretz. That's what he says. And that's why they come and they say, right, that it's so important, the entire concept of dress. People don't realize the importance of dress. If you remember, we once gave an entire shiur on dress, and people, mamash, they don't understand. The Mesilat Yesharim, the Chinuch also, he comes and he says that people think, oh, what do you care how you dress? It's not true. When a person dresses in a certain form, they dress better. They did an entire study that, in Europe, they have a lot of places where they have casual dress on Fridays. Fridays is casual dress. And they made an entire study that the work, the production of work, what they're able to produce on the Friday, once they casual dress, is much less than the rest of the week. Not just because it's Friday, because the dress just makes it relaxed. The dress comes, imagine right now you come and you get a lawyer, right? And he comes in to represent you and he comes in shorts, right? In a t-shirt. You're going to say, hey, well, what's this? No, we're in Miami. I don't care where you're in Miami, right? You come into court dressed like a human being. You have to have a tie and you have to dress like a human being. You want to dress like that, go to the beach. You're not going to go, I don't care where you are. When you're going, there's a certain conduct, and it has an effect on how you are. And that's why when we come, we say tefillah, clothing, bigdei Shabbat, nice clothing. You remember I brought down women, when they do adlakat nerot of Shabbat, they have to dress in bigdei Shabbat. They can't do it in their pajamas and come and start lighting nerot Shabbat. They have to be mechubad. Why? The clothing, they actually have an effect. And I'll finish with this part to do with the clothing before the other concepts. Something very interesting. If you remember, we brought down from the Sefer of Magic Touch from Gila Menolson, she actually went and she said something incredible, right? There was a girl that she went and she told her girlfriend, no, listen, we're going to go out. She tells her friends, listen, where should what should I wear? So she comes and she says, okay, we're going to wear this. It was a certain dress, fine. All of a sudden, the next time she comes and she tells her, listen, right, I'm going to go to an interview. It's a bank interview. What should I wear? So she went and said, yeah, you could wear that. That what you had. She says, yeah, but we're not going to the bar now. I'm not having a job interview. What does that mean? She understood that when she was going to a job interview, she wanted that they should take her seriously. She's going to go in a mini dress and that. I'm not going to take her seriously. You're going to take her as what she's trying to do. You understand? This is not, professional, right? This is just a flirt or something. Okay, they're not going to take her seriously. But when she was going to go to the bar and she was going to see things, so therefore she knows, which means that you see that the dress code of a human being has an effect on who it is. So said Yaakov Avinu to his children, he told Yosef, don't let them come and get dressed however they want. You have to make sure that they are keeping their dress, their levush of Yehudim. The Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh, he comes and he wanted to arouse the love towards them. That the beracha should be with a lot of love and with chibah. That's what he wanted that they should be. So because of that, he comes and he says that's why he says he wanted to hear from his son, these are my children. These are your children. Look how much I love. This is what I want. The Netziv, right? In the Hemek Davar comes and he says, Yaakov Avinu wanted to put Ruach HaKodesh, all right, in order to come and to give them the bracha. And therefore, if you want to put Ruach HaKodesh to give the bracha, you have to make that there should be love to the Mitbarech. That you love him. And this actually helps that it should be with a tova ayin, with a good eye, and it will help for the mitbarech as well. And that's why it's so important also, right? This entire concept of that there should be a love then between them, right? And that's what you need. And therefore, when he wanted to come and he wanted to bless the children, he wanted to know he wanted to do that. So according to that, that's why he comes and he says, right, that was the reason why he wanted to come and ask them for that. According to the Chazal, though, we have to actually understand, why is it dafka now that he comes and he says they're not fitting for beracha? So the Imre Emet says, he already blessed them beforehand in order to make them shivatim. So now what? If he made them shivatim, that they're on the same level as the tribes, that they get, Ephraim and Menashe are like Reuven, Shimon, they become Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, no, until there's no Yosef and Yamin. It's Menashe and Ephraim. So therefore, what's going on? So they come and they say, right, as follows. They come and they say, the Imre Emet comes and he says like this, that the answer is because when a person comes to a very high madrega, he starts a kitrug. When they go to such a high madrega, right, they start a kitrug, which is actually going to be very, very high up. So therefore they come and they start judging them again. And then what happens is that there was a chet, if there's something, a sin, So that's going to cause a problem. So therefore he says, they don't have menucha. Why? Because even if they do a little sin, all of a sudden that sin could obviously cause the kitur, and now they're not fitting for it anymore. And that's what the Oziel the Torah also said. Mi elle, that now all of a sudden I see maybe they're not fitting for beracha, because it could be that I didn't see them from then until now. Maybe there was one little sin that all of a sudden caused, and now it's a completely different story. Okay? Now there's another sefer called Kiddushat Sion from Rav Ben Sion from Babov. And he comes and he says something incredible. And he says he's heard it from his father, that in the last year that his grandfather, the Divrei Chaim Nitzans, was on this world, he was nechlash kocho, that he couldn't even recognize people. And therefore he could only see Sifrei Kodesh. Right now, when he felt the people were around, he said, of Apta, right, the Apta Rebbe, when he was at Rav and Av Bedin, right, he went and he said, right, in order to go to his house, he used to go upstairs. Once happened that there were two people, right, that they wanted to judge in front of him. So each one, they said, he gave the psak din, and that's it. And he didn't even look at them. So he left the place and he was going down the stairs. One of them, he saw them, and he saw, right, he said, how could it be, right, that, he's going up and down stairs, right? He said, what? He says, what? You don't know who it is? These people are in the city, right? He said, what are these animals going up and down? He said, these are people in the city. So the Rebbe Me'apta, he didn't recognize them because for him, they look like animals because they went and they sinned. So for him, they look like animals. They didn't look like human beings. So the Rav HaKadosh Mitzans, the Rav Yisrael, he went and he said, he was on such a kiddusha, that he was on such a madriga, that he only saw dvarim shebi kedusha. And therefore, if there was somebody that didn't have the tzelem Elokim, for him, it was already like an animal. It wasn't that he was degrading them and saying, for him, everything was kadosh, everything was holy. So for him, they didn't appear like anything else. Okay? Fine. The tzaddik, before he passes away, he sees all the hidden secrets. He says, it's brought down from Shalom Bells. He says that Kodem Ptira, a person before they pass away, if they're a tzaddik, he heard that the tzaddik Kom Tirato, there's nothing which is hidden from him. And therefore he could see everything so clearly. He could see everything barur exactly, that's why before the Ptira, Yaakov Avinu was able to see everything. So if so, right, why is he asking Miele? He knows them. And what is Yosef answering? These are the children that God gave me. So the Al-Shich HaKadosh says, since Yaakov Avinu saw who was coming from them, he saw maybe Be'emet there was something not kasher from them. So therefore he says, maybe Be'emet they're not good. So Yosef HaTzadik comes and he says, no, they're like me, they're tzaddikim, they're 100% tzaddikim. So it's nothing to do with it. And therefore he went and he said, bring them to me, and there's nothing that's going to be the difference. Okay, now Yosef HaTzadik comes and the Kli Yakar says, when he says, Banayhem, they're my children, what does that mean? They're fitting because of me to get a bracha. And therefore he says, because I was here in Mitzrayim, and I got married to Bat Potifar Kohen On, but she was a Kohenim for Avodah Zarah, and they came out from me and they weren't Avodah Zarah. And therefore, just for that, they are fitting, right, for bracha. Just like Yitzchak gave a bracha, wanted to give a bracha to Esav, then it was changed, but it was given to Esav. Even though, why? Because at the end of the day, this is who he is. So he says, so too, you have to give them a bracha as well. So when it comes and he says, Kachem na elai, the word na means now. Don't look what's going to happen in the future. Right now, they're fitting for bracha. You have to give them bracha right now. And that's exactly what, right, we're supposed to do. So therefore, these are just different explanations for us to understand what does it mean that Yaakov Avinu comes and he starts asking, what is this going on? Who are these children? So we have a few explanations. Either he behemet didn't recognize them, either because they were in the clothing of the Egyptians, right? Because they had to come right away. They weren't able to have time for changing clothing. Either because of the Rishaim that came from them. So you say, what's going on? He said, no. These ones are tzaddikim though. My children, they're tzaddikim. Don't worry about it. It could be in the future. Somebody's going to come out. That's something else. But these are tzaddikim that are right now that are coming. Or to bring the love. Because when you come and you bring a love upon someone, and then you give them a bracha, the bracha is going to chal much more. So with all these things, or you're going to say that again, Yaakov Avinu knew the future. There's things which are not hidden from him because once he's going to pass away. But any of these explanations, it's just to open up our ears to understand why is it that all of a sudden now Yaakov Avinu is coming and asking, who are these people? If he knew who they were, right? It wasn't just stam. It was for a purpose. And now that we understand the purpose, now we understand what's going on in the parasha.